So your Uncle Spurt just got home from Mobile World Congress, which is kind of like the tech equivalent of Alton Towers. But instead of queuing for hours to ride a migraine-inducing roller coaster, you're instead queuing for hours to listen to some old twat in a suit bang on about AI. And you're constantly surrounded by sweaty nerds rather than greasy teenagers off their tits on Monster Energy, awkwardly trying to finger each other while waiting to get on Nemesis. But like Alton Towers, you'll still pay 20 quid for a chicken enchilada that you'll be seeing again a lot sooner than expected. Anyway, before I go ahead and obliterate all recollection of my previous few days at MWC, courtesy of my good friend Alcohol, I thought I'd go ahead and record some of my thoughts and experiences right here for posterity, in the misguided belief that anyone actually gives a flying toss. Techspert Weekly! So Xiaomi wins the MWC 2025 award for most likely to give tech twats like myself a full-on stroke by launching about 24 new things all at once. The money shot of this metaphorical boffin session was undoubtedly the Xiaomi 15 Ultra, another whapping great git sporting a price tag that would even make a Saudi prince go, "Ooh blimey, that's quite expensive innit?" But you get a lot of tech packed in there, and it supports the usual photography kit shenanigans, which I've done a lovely TikTok on. And you've also got a regular Xiaomi 15, 2 tablets, a bunch of earbuds, and even a bloody scooter. Oh, and this spooge-worthy concept camera lens, which slaps on the back of a phone using the inexplicable science of magnets.
This 35mm model uses pogo pins for power, drawn from your smartphone's battery, while Xiaomi's proprietary laser-link tech allows the phone and lens to communicate with absolutely bugger all latency. It's certainly an easy way to boot your smartphone's optics right up the arse. And if you can be bothered to lug around a couple of different lenses, this system could happily replace your old DSLR.
And Realme also had a stab at a similar kind of setup, although that jobby looked a wee bit more unwieldy than Xiaomi's effort, with a proper bloody great adapter dock as well as the not insubstantial lenses. Outside of the Xiaomi launch, probably about 80% of what I saw at MWC was unfortunately just AI bollocks. If you were playing the AI drinking game, you'd have been absolutely shitted by about 8:20 AM, which fortunately I was. And unfortunately, despite all these companies hoying millions, if not billions, at all of this fake smart arsery shenanigans, no one has yet come up with an AI that can actually convince your family to love you, or one that can actually do all your work for you, so you can just spend all day sat around in your pants getting absolutely obliterated on Blue Wicked. However, I did spy a couple of quite cool things out on the show floor, including this nifty concept Tecno phone, which features the highly erotic sounding display electronic slurry technology slathered there all over its arse. This is an e-ink style screen with pigment suspended in plasma, allowing you to completely transform the design of that back end, like some kind of futuristic ever-morphing tramp stamp. Plus the refresh rate is actually fast enough that you could feasibly watch a video on it if you're a bit of a mentalist, kind of similar to those Boox tablets what I've reviewed. And Tecno had quite a few other bits too, including phones that change colour when struck by UV light. I had to make a swift departure at this point though, because I was far too thrilled by my MWC experience. So if that UV had passed anywhere near my genitals, I would have sparkled like Tinkerbell sat on a f***ing Christmas tree. And Samsung was also showing off all of its many new devices, including the S25 Edge, which I've got to say doesn't actually look all that thin at all, especially considering Tecno's Spark Slim is even skinnier at 5.75 mils, and yet boasts a bigger 5200 mAh battery. More interesting is this concept foldable handheld gaming machine from Samsung Display, complete with dual thumbsticks and a design so bright it'll probably pop your corneas. Just don't actually expect to see one of those in stores anytime soon. So back onto the phones, and nothing coughed out its latest affordable duo, the 3A and the 3A Pro. The easiest way to tell them apart is to peer around the back, because the Pro version doesn't so much have a camera bump as a camera tumour, courtesy of that bonus telephoto lens. Besides that and a bit of eSIM action, the specs are almost identical. You can check out my Nothing Phone 3A Pro review right now, and stay tuned for a regular 3A review, which I'm hoping to edit as soon as this fentanyl wears off and I can actually focus on my laptop screen again. And HMD went and launched quite a lot of new stuff too, including feature phones, some earbuds with a case that doubles as a wireless charging bank, and Drew Barrymore. So a bit of a mixed bag for MWC this year. Far too much AI gubbins as usual, but quite a few new devices as well, so expect a shag load of reviews from your Uncle Spurt on all that stuff what I just wanged on about, including hopefully Drew Barrymore. In the meantime, let us know your thoughts. Would you like to get off with an AI just like Joaquin Phoenix in that weird f***ing movie? And what's your favourite kind of stain that only shows up under UV light? And now it's time for viewer comments, and I usually write some kind of incredibly witty little segue bit into that, but you know what? This week I'm going to let AI do it. Write me a segue into the next part of this video all about viewer comments.
I got you. Here's something like, you won't believe some of the wild thoughts people have had. Let's see what they've come up with. Or you could try something like, the best is yet to come. We've got some real gems from our viewers.
Well, I mean, those are both absolute gold, so how do I choose between them? The best is yet to come. Don't f off or anything. Viewer comments.
I can't hear you.
So start this week with Jesse Boy, you eat Jesse Boy, who says, I was wondering, Chris, let us know who's us. I was under the impression that you were the prosecutor, the judge, and the executioner at Spurt Towers, a one-man show, all in one, yada yada. Yes, I have to take 100% of the blame for absolutely everything that you're witnessing right now. I'm afraid it's all on my shoulders. When I say let us know your thoughts, etc., just before this viewer comments bit, I'm basically referring to myself and you guys as well. Yes, Tech Spurt Towers, it is literally me and the soggy sock, of course. Ah, and I'm just a twisted figment of your sick, deluded imagination. Ball. Next up, Michael David Ryan Daniel Paul 1990. Is that your full name, or are you actually 5 people? It's taking hours to fill out application forms. Anyway, Michael David Ryan Daniel Paul 1990 says, oh god, the bot's here. To which CW258 replies, bots think he is beautiful. As a 33-year-old man, he is gorgeous. To which Michael David Ryan Daniel Paul 1990 replies, 33, bugger me, he must have had a hard life. Yeah, 33 was a very long time ago for me, sadly. When I was 33, the average smartphone size was still about 4 inches. And of course HTC was still spaffing out about 12 new blowers every week with daft names like Cha-Cha, Womble and Felchmaster 3000. Turpentine says, another terrific video, keep up the good work. Speaking of bots, that was far too positive to be a real human being, surely. Now, you know what? No more pessimistic, Uncle Spurt. I'm going to choose to believe that that was a real person with real thoughts who really, actually, genuinely watched and enjoyed this video. Go me. ShopVidTube says, the audio track is saying English brackets United States when it should really say English brackets somewhere up north. Or just English brackets and then 10 question marks. The worst one was the bloody Samsung Galaxy S25 Plus when I was reviewing that absolute heifer. That wouldn't transcribe any of my voice recordings until I downloaded the English Australian voice pack. And even then some of the fruitier phrases were well beyond its comprehension. After a while I just kind of gave up entirely, probably figured the words coming out of my mouth were the vocal equivalent of frantically scrawling on the walls with your own excrement. And this won't end well says, 2025 tech launches so far. We're launching basically the same model as 2024, but charging you 150 quid more for a bunch of AI bollocks. That's some tasty hot facts right there. The Squeaky Monkey says, Polaris mentioned. Absolutely adore that band. If you know, you know. And Kantai Y says, feels like an IELTS test watching his videos. I do not know what one of them is. Good old Google to the rescue again. That's a test that examines English language proficiency. I mean, to be honest, I'd say I have more of an English language deficit. On the subject of Motorola Razr phones, Dreg9126 says, my phone lasted about 6 months. The reason they have a large screen on the front is not a cool accessibility feature, it's basically insurance for when the main screen goes out. Yeah, bugger, that is definitely not an ideal situation. Hope you managed to get that swapped out alright. Next up, Momonosuke Kozuki says, foldables still scare the flip out of me. See what you did there, mate. But I bet that when the Galaxy Note makes a comeback, it'll be the dual fold that's been teased a few times already. Maybe that's when we can actually justify raiding an orphanage for organs to buy a foldable. It would just be nice to have something that's a wee bit different, to be honest. You know, when you look at the likes of the Oppo Find N5 and stuff like that and see what they're doing with that foldable technology. But yeah, if Samsung manages to pull off a decent tri-foldy thingy like Huawei, could certainly be very interesting indeed, although they're lagging behind just in the regular folds right now, so we'll see. And Greebone Gasboard says, hopefully Oppo pulling out a launch in the Find N5 in Europe isn't a sign of things to come for other models. Really hoping that the Find X8 Ultra makes an appearance on these shores. You know, just when it finally appeared like Oppo was starting to give a shit about us lot again. Oh well. There's been conflicted reports, as always, about the Find X8 Ultra and will it be China only or will it actually spaff its way across the entire globe. It should be launching in China next month, so hopefully we'll find out one way or the other then. And Mythic Sun says, Elon Musk, the answer to that question, what would a really expensive, controversial and generally unlikable diving board look like? Well, maybe good old AI will be able to show us exactly what that image looks like. Create me a picture of Elon Musk as a diving board.
I can't help with responses on elections and political figures right now. I'm trained to be as accurate as
political figure, toss rag more like. Gotta say, not the biggest fan of Tesla right now, that's for damn sure, because as you'll know if you watched my solar panel video, I had a Tesla Powerwall battery installed as well to just soak up some of that juice. Absolutely no problems at all with it for all of about 3 weeks, and then suddenly in the Tesla app it's shown up as offline, which is really helpful. And then, rather hilariously, it just suddenly, out of the blue, started making this really loud, really obnoxious ticking sound, which wasn't at all terrifying. So if my video uploads suddenly cease one day, at least you'll know why. My sodden house is probably burned to the ground. And if that happens, I'll tell you what, I'll be haunting the living shit out of that Elon prick. Smooth65, Smooth97 says, I think you should try reviewing cars. I mean, I know even less about cars than I do about phones and tech, if you can believe that. Literally the entire car review video would just be me driving about the place, muttering to myself about how many f***ing potholes there are. Erica says, Trump even lives in UK heads rent-free. That's amazing. 47 months to go. I mean, let's face it, there's not even going to be a planet in 47 months. The cockroaches will be well and truly feeding on our charred extremities by then. Your Uncle Spurt's advice, pretty simple and straightforward. Give your mum a massive hug and then get absolutely skull-f***ed on absolutely any booze you can lay your hands on. I've really run out of time, so better make these the last couple of comments. Dan Pajamas says, dude, I'm 45 and I don't know what the f*** you've been drinking. It'd probably honestly be quicker to list off all the stuff what I haven't been drinking. You know, I haven't quite resorted to the terps just yet, although, you know, early days because it is iPhone 16e season. Ugh. And speaking of which, Ventum6997 says, oh boy, you don't know how eagerly I've been waiting all week for when you can talk about the iPhone 16e. The E is for expensive, innit? Yeah, I was really hoping to get something up this week on that bloody thing, but it's been an absolutely mental one with not just the MWC shenanigans, but also, unfortunately, my cat, this silly little fuzzy sod, managed to somehow bugger his leg up. Needed to go to an animal hospital and actually have an operation to put plates in it and everything, so he's not having a great old time. Hopefully bringing him home tonight from the hospital at least, so he can rest up at home for 6 weeks, although he has to stay in a cage that entire time, which he's going to absolutely love. And at least the cage will double up as a handy punishment cage for my Sprog whenever she misbehaves. Yes, hopefully next week I will get to this absolute shower, don't you worry. I've got a few thoughts formulating about it so far. And actually, let's do this properly. Jingle me. Next week, what the f*** is next week? So yeah, next week, hoping to bring you a full comprehensive review of Samsung's Galaxy A56, which I've had my Sims stuffed inside of for a few days now, and also, God help me, the iPhone 16e. And spoiler alert, don't think it's going to be winning any phone awards this year, unless it's the who the f*** is this phone actually for award. And also plenty more shenanigans coming at your facial area. So definitely please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell if you haven't done already for all this tasty stuff. Massive thanks for sitting through this shower the bitter end. Please do smash your comments down below. We'll get through as many of those as possible next week. And have yourselves a ruddy, wonderful weekend. Cheers, everybody. Love you.